Alright, part 3 back again. So yeah, I had to delete some more old videos, save up some space, get some more room. Back again, put the dogs away. Well, at least 3 out of the 5 dogs are in the house now. Let the girls go inside. So anyway, I believe I had just finished calculating the chamber volume, and we're doing the port volume now. That port volume is about 2.8 cubes, so roughly 3 cubes. I already forgot what this front 156 was. Let me go back to that real quick. 156, so yeah, roughly 5.5 cubic feet plus the 3 cubic feet of the port. So we're talking about 8 cubic feet for a box for a single 10. Yeah, that's ginormous. That is a big box. And we're having focusing issues. Come on, focus, man. Alright, let's see. Let's go to loudspeaker wizard. Go to our power level. And when I'm auto generating stuff or just making, fine tuning the box in general, I always like to make sure I have that max power dialed in. So the Sundown M series, it's a 4,000 watt max subwoofer. The 10s all the way up to the 18s, they're all the same motor, remember? So 4,000 watts maximum capable, RMS of 2,000 watts. So I'll keep it there at the 2,000 watt range, even though, because it's a Sundown, we're expecting it to exceed even the 4,000 rated watts, right? I don't know about the M series, maybe not. For sure, like the Sundown X, I know that thing takes more than rated power. My X 6.5s, they took more than rated power. Not a lot more, but it did. I had a buddy that had some 15s X series and they did really well. Had a guy that had some SA series, they took more than rated power too. So but to be on the safe side, guys, just keep it at that RMS rating while you build your subwoofer in the program. And until we know for sure, the facts of the matter of what they can really handle, and so on and so forth, and whether those TS parameters are accurate, that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing here. At least that's the science that I'm trying to provide for you guys. So, but going back here, so we got that 2000 set. We're at 35 millimeters X max. Sometimes I'll raise that up just to see if this drops off, but for the most part, if it's a manufacturer number, I leave it there. So with that big giant 8 cube total box, this is the kind of curve we'll be looking at. The low end looks like it's doing pretty good, and we could probably put more power there. Same thing with the higher end. We'll only be seeing problems somewhere between that 30 and 50 hertz range. So right here we can raise that power up to 3,000 watts and see where we can still keep getting more loading, more power on those peak ends. Let's max it out to 4,000 watts. SPL burping or whatever would still be good on the low end. Same thing on the upper end. You probably wouldn't be playing this upper peak, but for those of you that are crazy and maybe want to do something like that, I'd like to see something like that. But yeah, probably not going to happen. Let's do some more just for fun. Let's say it can handle 5,000 watts. Alright, now we're getting some issues down the super low range. Might want to watch out. Probably not going to be able to do this for very long. So let's dial it back. Let's go as low as we can go until that maximum X max is no longer achieved or reached. So watch these red lines right here go away. So according to the program, according to the numbers, everything that we see here, we're looking at 1,025 watts, where we should be absolutely safe. Our bandwidth within this box, as is, looks something like this. We have a good bump in that 40 hertz range, 43 to be precise. We have a bump over here in the low range, 20 hertz, 20.7 hertz, and then supposedly up in the upper high range. Don't know if that's a fact, but more than likely there'd be some kind of a bump there. 86 hertz. What else? So that was with the auto-generated box. So I'll bring that number back to 2000 RMS. And then here's what I like to do. I like to kind of fiddle with the numbers. So if you like to play lower, you know, you can lengthen your port, or you can increase your box chamber size. That'll also lower your tuning, but remember, it's going to drop your output as well. And just the opposite should occur if you reduce your chamber size. It should increase your power, reduce your overall bandwidth, lower your port length. It's also going to keep gravitating towards that same function, where it's going to increase your tuning, your frequencies here. I'll let you guys watch this as it goes. This is your port area, so if you reduce it down to a smaller port area, it should technically lower output, your output overall, and then your tuning can sometimes drop. But you can see it is dropping, but it's also significantly dropping your output. So it's probably something you don't want to do. You don't want your port area to be too small, especially with this subwoofer. You're going to lose a lot of output, basically making it entirely pointless, right? So we want to use all those 2000 watts, right? We want to use all the watts we got. If we increase our port area to where it's a gigantic port, you end up with a heavy spike. Increase the chamber volume, you can smooth out that spike a little bit. So we're just playing with the numbers, guys, just so you can get a feel for it for yourself. So when you want to go to try it out for yourself, this is what you will be looking at, and it'll kind of hopefully be already embedded into your brains, and you'll be able to just kind of jump on the program and get right to it, get right to building, and have an intuitive idea and approach to your whole build. So check it out. If let's say we had this sub and we wanted to do some SPL in the upper range and the high frequency stuff, 51 hertz. Let's say you had your mom's got that Chrysler van in the back that's been way back there for since 90 something. You say, hey mom, you gonna use that thing? So you turn it into this burp box, right? You turn it into the SPL monster. So this is a good design right here. Feel free to steal any of these numbers that you guys want. They're up for grabs. Just let me know, and that way I can cross-reference it with the program and make sure that it's accurate. That's all I ask. So this is pretty much, again, it's just a straight up T-line. So if you had, let's say you managed to come across like I'm not sure what this port area would be. 739 is your square centimeter cross-sectional area. So trying to guess, it's probably like a 12-inch pipe. So let's say you had a 12-inch pipe available, maybe one of those big giant PVC pipes that they put in the sewer lines. You cut it off at whatever length that is, 130 centimeters in length. You should get this SPL of a beast of a blaster there. So it's showing right now that we're not hitting any X-Max at all. We're getting real good loading. That's why you have such a high peak SPL number. The bandwidth is completely gone, which is expected. So now we have the ability to completely load the subwoofer with all the watts that we can push to it, right? There we go. Now we're starting to see some issues. And this is typically how I design my boxes, guys. When I play around with the program, I'll just sit here clicking away with an idea in my head of what's changing and what's happening. So here we go. So now we start to see some issues with 3400 watts. So I'll stop there and then I'll come back to our chamber, and I'll start to mess around with these port lengths and widths and stuff until that peak goes away. See how it went away? Maybe if I adjust my, nope, we got to go the other way. So there we go. That freed up some more potential. Come back to our power, and now it's handling more power. That means the loading is better for the sub. A lot better actually. Now we're at 5,000 watts, and now we're starting to see some issues. Not necessarily at the peak. It's a little bit ahead of that peak. But let's try to dial it in even further. Let's add more power, assuming that it can handle it. We'll fiddle with the chamber again. Let's increase that. Yeah, apparently that's gonna work. Let's mess with the chamber volume. Nope, we don't want to do that. That seems to be okay. Let's increase the power even more. 6,000 watts, guys. All right. 6422. Let's. And increasing the port area, still it supposedly gave us even more loading capability, even above 6,000. Are we going to reach 7,000? We're at 6,706 right now. Let's increase that port area since that's been working for us so far. Still working. That's a big increase. I'm scared to plug in that number, because then I'm gonna start feeling like there's no way, right? But once again, we're just having fun. 7,000 watts. 7,000 watts, but it's really, to me, I would think that, there we go. I don't know if it can handle that. Let's keep going. We're starting to raise the frequency quite a bit now. Instead of 51 hertz, we're at 59 hertz, which is still you can get away with that in competition. You would lose a little bit of score because lower frequencies can raise your score. But let's keep going on. Hopefully I don't run out of data and we end up having to do another part 4 here. And like I said, assuming that it could even handle 7,000 watts, which it might be able to for a short duration. So in SPL, you're not going to sit there running the sub for a whole. You get 1 minute to run your test, but the guys that know what they're doing, that's maxed out. That program won't even let me go further than that. So the guys that do SPL testing, they don't actually run. That was my big mistake when I first did SPL testing. As I sat there and the whole time I was just for 1 whole minute, thinking that that's what you were supposed to do, and no, I was wrong. You just got to hit that number for however many seconds it takes to get the meter to register, and typically that could be half a second to 1 second. So as long as you can manage that power for maybe half a second to a second's worth of time, you might be able to get away with it. Your coils might not heat up, and you might be able to actually pull that score off. So keep that in mind, guys, for those of you that are really into SPL testing. So we did it real time right here, right in front of your face, to show you guys if you wanted to build something that was more SPL geared based on the program. This is what it's showing us that you can do. Once again, I don't know for a fact if this is the real deal, the real McCoy, however you want to say it, see it. But these are real numbers for that specific subwoofer, the Sundown M10, with all its TSP parameters. So we have a chamber volume, which really doesn't matter because it's pretty much a T-line, but that's what the number is here. I'll save it and we'll go into this screen here. So total system volume 192 liters. So let's see how big of a box that would be. As you guys you could still fold it if you really wanted to. You could turn it into a folded transmission line. 192. That's a 6.7 cubic foot box. So even for 110, right? That's still a really big box, but I could believe you can fit a 7 cube box in a decent sized vehicle. You know, a hatchback maybe. Be a pretty big box, and you can fold that T-line in there somehow. And this is what it's showing that the total cross-sectional area would look like. Let's run the SPL numbers here on this graph. Should give us pretty much the same thing. We're at pretty much 10,000 watts. And yeah, supposedly at 59 hertz, 59.7, we should be seeing a 153 at the output side. And yeah, in cab, I mean, I don't know what that would do. Let's say your cabin, let's say you did have a Honda Civic hatchback or something small that didn't have much loss, or let's say you got your mom's Chrysler and you turned it into an SPL monster. You put flat panels everywhere, and you put your roundovers where they need to be. You should be able to see at least that 153, if not maybe even more with the cabin gain. So far what I've been seeing is about 10 dB with interior. I would guess if it's geared for SPL, you might see that full 12 dB. So that's when you start getting those crazy numbers, 160 dB, 170 dB. Check out Ronnie Mr. 6.5 something. He's the guy that did 150 with two 6.5s in the, or just look up Sniper Box. You might be able to find it that way. But those hardcore SPL vehicles, that's kind of what they look like, and these are the kind of numbers that they're pulling off, and these are the kind of enclosures that get them there. The Sniper Box is an 8th order technically, so that's a little bit different of a design. I haven't touched on an 8th order yet, but eventually, someday we'll get there. Maybe I'll make one for the Wavefront simulator, just so you can see what it does. But the more orders you got, the trickier it gets to build and to precisely get those numbers dialed in. A lot of those guys had to adjust their port lengths. Everything within the box itself was designed to be adjustable for that specific reason. So for your SPL guys, pay attention to that. Hopefully that section helped you out there. But here's what I want to do now. Since we already dialed in the subwoofer as is, now we're going to go back, and this is how I manipulate. You go to driver, and then see right here you have your BL, your SD, your CMS, which is your suspension compliance. So these numbers you can fiddle with as well and get different things happening with your overall power gain. Make sure you double click on that total power being applied, so you see that full spike. And then what I'm going to fiddle with right here, guys, is BL right here, right in front of you, with the supposed numbers that are coming up on our graph. I'm going to drop it down lower, see what it does. So obviously it does what you think it would do, right? You have a weaker magnet, a weaker system motor, and we're losing power, right? We're not getting as much motor force. It's all just turning into heat apparently. And yeah, that's what happens, especially in a SPL box, especially in a SPL box, especially in a system that is a speaker, a subwoofer that is loaded properly. You're gonna lose power output significantly. Whoa. So if we increase that BL, so let's say we went from that M series magnet and we took the same suspension and cone and we slapped on a neodymium. So this was at 17. We slap on a neo and that has a 25 for a BL. We're getting even more power. Well, now we're starting to hit that X mech, right? And we're not even at 25 yet. So there you go. Now assuming that we have a, you know, neo magnet on there, we can go back to our parameters and see if we can get even more SPL out of this setup. I think our port area is definitely maxed out. That didn't help, and it's trying to a little bit. We might get away with it here. There it is. Like, you guys might not be able to see it, but I can see it on the program. It's showing that it's good. Now we're reaching the limits of the program here, guys, and that's, to me, this is fun because, I mean, it's happening with the calculator, it's happening with the numbers, so you would hope that it would reflect in real world, right? And at this point, I don't think anything will really improve that peak power performance. So yeah, nothing I'm doing here is really gonna improve that. Let me do the port length. It's lowering the tune, but we're not getting around that X max, so I can maybe try to drop that port area, hoping for more loading. Yeah, and actually, hey, check it out, it worked. 44 hertz now, which should give us a better score because it's a little bit lower tuning, and we're doing 155.9 dB, almost 156. But yeah, so this is what I do, guys, when it comes to the program and just kind of moving things around. And I hope you guys get to try it out for yourselves and dial in something that makes sense too, that you can cross-reference, and, you know, make bass great again. Make these systems practical. Make them amazing. You know, do great things. Because that's all I really care about. I like seeing the unexpected from a simple system. You know, as much as I like those over-the-top crazy builds, they don't impress me as much as somebody that does something, you know, impressive with like a basic, like, you know, Ronnie 6.5 Smith guy. He did big numbers with 2 6.5s, and it's so hard to believe, you know. And you guys know about the whole 150 dB at 18 hertz. That's incredibly unbelievable, to the point to where, yeah, like, nobody believes it. So let me dial down this BL. Let's say we go back to our 17, so we should be safe in this box that we built for a ridiculous sub. And now I'm going to mess with the compliance, the suspension. And sometimes tightening the suspension can increase your SPL. Because it's tighter, it can hold on to that mass a little bit better and resonate better with less power. So, but that's not always the case. Sometimes too tight of a suspension can really hinder the capabilities of that subwoofer. So that was the case for my buddy who switched from an EVL to the ZVX or ZVL or Z, whatever the hell it is. That had a much tighter suspension, and he lost his lows because of it. So yeah, I don't know how to totally translate this number. It's like in millimeters per Newton, and yeah, we're talking about metric and Newton force. Yeah, that I don't even know how to translate that yet, or what that equates to as far as how it impacts the motor. So, but I'll get to that pretty soon, someday, and hopefully go over that with you guys. RMS, I don't even know exactly what that does. That's like an electrical thing. So, but like I said, I just play with the numbers and see what it's doing at the time, seeing how it has an effect. So that way, when I do go to put those TS parameters in, like I said, it gives me an intuitive knowledge into what's you know, to expect. Now mass has a big one, has a pretty big effect. Sometimes a lighter cone is better, sometimes a heavier cone is better. It really depends on a whole bunch of things. But as you can see right now in our case, as I increase the mass significantly, it's not really doing anything for our SPL portion, but it is dropping off our upper range, right? And alright, I think we got the idea there. And I think I'm gonna cut it for today. I already did just 3 videos today, so I'm gonna hopefully upload them. Hopefully they're on before midnight. Hopefully you guys can catch all of them. And yeah, hopefully you guys got something out of this one. Please hit me in the comments with as much whatever that you guys got. It puts me in different directions as what to do with these videos and where to go. And maybe I could help somebody from the get-go and, you know, start dialing in real world numbers and yeah. But I'm tired. I'm out. I'll catch you guys.